we are going to talk about subgroup mixing. Now, subgroup mixing is a really big deal. It's a big thing. And so let's get into our notes here. Subgroup mixing. Basically, what subgroup mixing is I'm going good, man. What subgroup mixing is that we're going to take similar groups and put them together in a sub mix. So overall, we got this overall mix going on here. And so the overall mix has all the stuff. It's got the drums, the bass, guitars, piano, all that stuff, vocals, whatever. But what we want to do, let's say that in general, my drums are too loud. Well, there's a couple things I could do. I could turn on my group over here and I can pull my drums here. Let's go. There we go. Okay, so let's put this here. I smell lemon roses. So if my drums are too loud, I could just put the group on and turn it down like this. Okay, and that works. There's nothing really wrong with that. And I've seen people mix like that. I've seen people do pretty good mixes like that. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't allow us to put effects on our drums so our drums can like interact with each other with like compression and stuff like that. So what we want to do is we want to basically kind of do the same thing, but we want to do a subgroup mix. In the subgroup mix, what we're going to do is we're going to actually make an aux track, send all those channels to the aux track, and then we just have all our aux tracks there so we can mix the aux tracks together later on. So basically, we use it in live and studio situations. You're going to use it in both worlds. A lot of people use it. You really kind of have to use it a lot in live situations, but you're also going to use it in the studio. Basically, it's where we route multiple tracks through one aux channel. So we make a sub mix. We've got the overall mix of all the tracks here, and then we're going to also make a sub mix to kind of make the complex mix a little bit easier to handle. Okay, the way we do this is we group similar instruments together. So we got our drums, bass, guitars, lead, rhythm guitars, vocals, stuff like that. We're going to group all those together. Think sectional, think in sections. How do different instruments fit together? Sometimes it's going to be obvious, sometimes it's not going to be obvious. This song is very obvious. This song is like we've got our drums, we've got the bass, we've got our guitars, acoustic guitars, we've got our electric guitars, we've got our piano, and we got our vocals. So it's very obvious how these instruments fit together. But sometimes you might have like a French horn and a guitar playing the same part together, and that would be like, oh, that doesn't seem obvious on the surface how they go together. Like a French horn and a guitar, they don't go together at all. But you listen to it and it's like, oh, they're playing the exact same part. So they're actually, arrangement-wise, they're fulfilling the same role. So then I would put those two things together. So you're going to think, main thing is to think in broad strokes, just sections, and then go through and pay attention to what the music's doing and then put things together like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our drums together first. Now, here's how you do a subgroup mix. It's actually quite easy. We got our drums here, and this is like just ideas for things, ideas for stuff to subgroup. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our aux track here to subgroup mix. So our drums, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new aux track, Command-Shift-In, and I'm going to Command right, Command down, and I'm going to go hit Tab, and I'm going to go call this aux track, I'm going to call it Drum Group. Give it a name. Now, a couple things about this. Let me do that one more time in slow motion. Here, let me delete this. Do it one more time. I just realized I did that way too fast. So go down here. I'm going to click where I want to put it next to. I'm going to hit Command-Shift-In or Control-Shift-In if you're on a Windows machine. I'm going to change this to stereo. I'm going to make it an aux track, and I'm going to give it a name, Drum Group. Now, I did that really, really quick before. The way you do it really quickly is Command-Shift-In, and then I hold down my Command key, or again on a Windows machine it's Control, and I hit the right arrow once. And what that does is it changes from stereo to mono. That hold Command and hit the right or left arrow changes from stereo to mono. And if I hold Command-Shift and hit down, Command and down, it's going to make my it's going to change my track type. So I hold down my Command key. I'm holding it down with my left hand, and I hit right arrow to make it stereo, and I hit down arrow to make it aux. I hit Tab to get over here to my name, and I'm going to give this a name, Drum Group. Hit go, And we're good to go. There we go, drum group. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to send all these tracks to that drum group. So the easiest way to do it is, since I named it, I'm going to highlight all my tracks that I just have here, the ones I want to group together. And I'm going to hold down Option and Shift on my keyboard, or Alt and Shift on a Windows machine. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because that's going to allow me to apply this change to all these tracks at the ones that are selected. So I hold down Option and Shift, I click on the output here, and I go down to Track and select Drum Group. Now what this is going to do is it's going to make a new bus that is named the same name as my track that I'm sending it to. I could use a bus. I could go over here and select bus 1 and 2 and then set the input for bus 1 and 2. But this way that I'm showing you is a little bit easier. We've already talked about doing things that way with the bus 1, bus 2, all that stuff. What we're going to do here is we're going to use this drum group. Hit go, boom. Now, see all the outputs here change to a drum group and the input here changes to drum group. Remember what I said before. Remember what we talked about. When you're using send effects like reverbs and stuff like that, you want all of your you want all your instruments to go from the send here to go to the aux track with the reverb. But if we are using, if we're doing a subgroup mix, we want it to go from the output. And that's very, very important. For reverbs, so send effects, you're going to go from the sends here. For subgroup mixing, you're going to go from the output because you want to grab the whole thing, okay? So what I'm going to do also, I'm going to color code this one, make it the same color. And then I'm also going to make a reverb, since this is so acoustic, actually we're just going to make one reverb for like basically all the instruments and another reverb for the vocals, and we're going to call that a day. So just for now, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make 2 aux tracks. I'm going to make, 2 aux tracks. And one of them I'm going to call instrument reverb. And the other one I'm going to call vocal reverb. Actually, I'm going to switch that. Reverb, vocal, and reverb, instrument. There we go. Boom. So now I have these 2 reverbs. And I'm going to color code these kind of a yellow color because I like to do my effects like yellow. There we go. Cool. All right. Not all the effects. It depends on what the effect is used for, but in this case, because they're just general effects for the whole track, I'm just going to color code them yellow. All right. So now what I'm going to do is for this instrument reverb here, I'm going to go ahead and put let's put a reverb on here. Let's use the one that comes with it, deverb. And here's my deverb. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make this a room sound. Let's room 2. Let's make it medium. Gain up to 0 dB. Mix wet. Good. That looks pretty good there. And so my drum group here, I'm actually going to send that over to my instrument reverb, my reverb instrument. So I'm going to go click on the send. I'm going to go to track, reverb instrument, boom. And let's solo the drums out here. Make sure I solo safe all these things here. Boop. And I'm going to set it up. Now we can hear it sounds very reverby. I'm going to actually go ahead and make things stereo again so we can hear stereo. And you can hear it's way too much reverb. So I'm going to turn this down. So we have a little bit of reverb on the drums, but not too much. Right, that sounds pretty good. And now you can hear how much better it sounds, just like that stereo width sounds really nice. We might need to do some adjustments now that we're in stereo again, but I'm just going to leave it alone for right now. All right, cool. So we're just sending the drums as a whole, which I normally wouldn't do, but for sake of time and also just generally, I don't really want to do too much with these drums. And what I might also do with these drums, just in general, just put a little compression on them. I don't really want to do too much, and I'm going to use... I was actually talking to my friend about the LA3A last night, but we were talking about... Oh, it's UAD. Dang it. I don't have my UAD plugged in right now. Hold on, let's see. Native Instruments. What do you got for me, Native Instruments? Do you have a 3A? No, you just got the 2A. So let's use the 2A here. And I just got a little bit of compression on these drums just to kind of pull them here. Not much at all. Yeah, pull it down. So I just wanted to hit it like around -2. Not much at all. Just a little bit of compression there. Just kind of like just pull it together so there's not too much happening. Very, very little. I'm just bumping it just a little bit there. All right, so we got that little compression going on there, and we got the thing. Let's go ahead and bring our bass in. Cool. And the bass, I don't have any other bass going on, so I'm not going to subgroup the bass, but our guitars here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to mute all these. We're going to mute all these other things, and we're going to unmute as we go along. There we go. All right, so the acoustic guitars, I do want these subgrouped, so we're going to highlight these. And here's another way we can make our subgroups, is I highlight them, and I go up here to the output, and I hold down Option and Shift, and I'm going to go to New Track. Now, what New Track does, let me just zoom in so you can see this. New York compression. I wouldn't use New York compression on these drums. Barb's very excited about New York compression. Fair enough. But not for these drums. I don't want these to be popping. All right. So what I just did here, let's do this one more time. What I did here was let's see. I highlighted my drums. What I'm showing you is just another way to subgroup these. And this is like a little bit faster. So I highlight the drums. I click on the first one. I hold down Shift. I click the last one over here. And I go here and I hold down Option and Shift. Click Output, and I go to New Track. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to create a new track and then send these instruments to that new track. So I'm going to give it a name. What is this? AC Guitar Group. And now it sends them all to it it makes all the buses for me, and then buses are named correctly. Now, essentially, this is going back to our idea that we want to be organized. All of our buses, instead of saying bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4, bus 5, 6, instead of doing that, they should say the track that we're sending them to. If you want to get a good organized mix, they should say the track that we are sending stuff to. So you can see here, this one says reverb instrument because it's going over to my reverb over here. And the track is named reverb instrument. I should basically, when I glance at it, I should be able to see, oh, it's going to a track called drum group. It's going to a track called AC guitar group. Oh, it's going to a track called reverb instrument. I should just be able to glance at that and see what it's doing. So here we got our AC guitars. Let's go ahead and make the colors the same. And you can see I just highlighted them, and it's going to select my colors for me, make them the same. And I'm going to send my guitars over to the same reverb that I sent my drums to, because I want them all to sound like they're in the same room. I don't want the guitars to be in a different room from everybody else. Now, the electric guitars I might do a little bit different, because I did hear like a reverb on those, a delay. But so what I did was I just Option drag my reverb instrument send here, so it sends it right over here. So now let's listen. And if I want the guitars to be more in the room, which might work for the guitars, depends. Cool. What I'm also going to do with these guitars is I'm going to pan these around a little bit. So we just get that microphone. You hear how there's like a little bit of a different tone going on with the different, like the microphones, and you can hear it a little bit in the ears off to the side. Cool, sounds good there. Let's get this piano going. Piano is going to go into a group, so I'm going to click it, hold down Shift, Option Shift, go up to my output, set like new track, and I call this one piano group. Boom, puts the track right there. I'm going to solo safe it. Remember, any kind of aux track should always be solo safed. Same thing, the piano is going to go to the room. Right? Ooh, that sounds nice. Starting to sound a little bit better. and we're gonna push this one down. Oops. And you can see I'm doing a little bit of panning stuff right now. Again, I'm in headphones, so the panning is going to sound a little bit different for somebody who's in speakers. Cool, that sounds nice. We're going to definitely want to put some EQ or something on these acoustic guitars to make them a little bit shinier. Let's go over here to our electric guitars. Actually, let's go to our vocals over here. Now, our vocals sound good. I'm going to call this one vocal male. And the other one is going to be called vocal female. I don't know their names. I would normally put their names in. So I'm just going to call it vocal male, vocal female. And I'm going to put these two vocals together. I shift click them, or yeah, shift click or command click, whatever, because there's just two of them. Hold down Option and Shift, go to the second one there, go to New Track, and then call this one vocal group. Boom. Make sure I solo safe this track here. Now, the vocals, I'm going to send them to the reverb, but I'm going to send them not through the group here. I'm going to send them individually. And I'm actually just going to color code these all the same, just because I thought these were actually backing vocals because it said backing vocals, but they're actually not backing vocals. It's actually, this is like more of a duet than it is a, main singer, backing singer. So in here, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go over here and go to send. Let's put our reverb over here. For this one, I'm going to actually use a plate because vocals sound really good with the plate. And I'm going to actually send them separately, not through the group, because I don't want them to be exactly in the same spatial distance with the plate. The guy may want a little bit more or less reverb than the woman. So I'm going to go in here and click on this here and go to track, send it over to the track. We're going to send it to the reverb vocal track right down there, boom. And then I'm just going to copy it over to here. And if I want to see both of them, I can hold down Shift, and now I can see both of them. You can see this track right here. This is my send amount. Now, another way to easily do this is to go over here to View, go to Expanded Sends, and click on A. And now we can see our level here for the sends. Let's see, where are we starting at? We're starting at the chorus. Okay, cool. So
I smell dead roses, dead roses in your hair. Can you smell roses like candy in the air?
That sounds nice. Not a whole lot. It's not crazy amounts. If I still want to see it, I can pull it up here. I can get more, like a bigger throw there. Let's go over here, back over to our verse.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa, but I thought I'd lose you.
That sounds nice.
I may amuse you.
Okay, sounds pretty good so far. Now, here's the only thing you have to worry about. If you have your vocal reverb outside of the vocal group, watch what happens. If I turn this down, we're only hearing the reverb. Now, the reason why we're only hearing that reverb is because it's outside of the vocal group here. So when I turn the vocal group down, we're still sending the signal to the reverb from over here. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to actually put this reverb vocal into the reverb group here and set the output to vocal group. You just want to make sure if you're doing it like this, you don't send it to itself. Where's my vocal group? Yeah, cool. Just make sure that you're not sending it from here back into here. You don't want to cause a feedback loop here. So right now we're good to go. Yeah. So if I turn down my vocal group, we're not going to hear that reverb anymore. Nice. Okay.
But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you.
Cool. Sounds pretty good. Let's go back over. Let's go to that second verse where the female sings.
But I said you should go, but then I said please wait, no, I'm not sure.
right, and I'm putting a lot of I'm going pretty liberal with the reverb here so we can hear it and everything like that. And again, you know, things like reverb and vocals like totally change when you're outside of headphones. So let's keep that in mind. All right, now let's go back over here to our guitars, our electric guitars. Let's go ahead and group these bad boys together. Hold down Option and Shift, click New Track, give it a name, E guitar group, boop. There we go, solo safe. Let's send that over to our reverb. Now with these,
But I said you should go, but then I said please wait, no.
let's go back over here to the B section.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down from the sky.
And again, I'm gonna pan these.
In your eyes. Taste the sweet.
Yeah, cool. I would rather these be doubled up, but they're not doubled up. There's not a whole lot I can do about that unless I want to get out Melodyne and do some trickery, which I don't want to do right now. Yeah, in real life, what I would do is I would have the person play it again, because I'd rather, I mean, again, this is like more of a, like I said before, this is, in the other video I was talking about this is actually a session from Telefunken used for educational purposes. So you can basically learn how to mix, you can hear what their microphones sound like and stuff like that. So this blending of the guitar part here is not a double, it's actually different microphones, and it's pretty cool, but it's not the same as a doubling. So, all right, the other thing I want to do though is I want to get these guitars going into a delay. So I'm going to make a stereo aux track. I'm going to call this one delay guitar. I just want to have a little bit of a something going on in a certain section, just this part right here, because I want it to be like a little bit of a washed out sound there. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make this one yellow. There we go. And let's put a delay in here. Let's use one of my favorite delays. This is the H delay from Waves, and it's usually like $40. I think it's usually on sale for $40 or something. Really, really good use of $40. It's a great reverb, great delay. I'm gonna turn off the analog here. Let's see.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down from the sky.
Cool.
Blue diamonds in.
Actually, we're gonna turn off the host. Sorry, I was like clicking away.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down
Cool.
from the sky.
Let's hear what that sounds like. With the, gonna go ahead and send that over to our delay guitar. There we go. Boom, boom. Let's solo these ones out so we can hear it by itself. Why? Oh, because I didn't turn you up. Cool. Turn the fan. Awesome. Don't need to send so much.
Taste the sweetness.
Yeah, just like a little bit going on the sides there. And then I'm going to send this back into the reverb. Remember, we talked about that before. We're going to send this one back into our reverb instrument. We're going to send it nice and hot back in. Yeah.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down from the sky. Blue diamonds in your eyes.
Cool. And I don't want it to be quite as panned, so I'm going to pull the pan in a little bit there. So it's a little bit more in the middle. Like that. And then this part here, I'm going to use my automation to actually stop it from going to that delay. I don't want it to go to the delay in this chorus part here, so I'm going to just do like that. I'm going to go down here to my delay guitar level, and we're just going to turn that down. Boop. So it doesn't get sent to it at all. And have it back up over here, and then probably over here. It's like, there we go.
Day
this part here. Maybe. I'm not really sure. Like that. Okay, cool. Cool. So I'm going to actually do it over here. And this is really where automation really shines, is because this kind of stuff here that I'm doing would be, you know, like not hard to do, but it would be like, you know, without automation, it becomes more tricky. All right, cool. So
I smell dead roses.
Cool.
Dead roses in your hair.
Yeah, I don't want the delay on this part for sure. Nice. Awesome. Okay, and then finally what we're going to do, because we're subgrouping as we go, and so finally what we're going to do is we're going to actually put our instruments in a subgroup along different from our vocals. So we already have our vocal subgroup right here. We're going to make an instrument subgroup that includes all these reverbs and stuff like that. So I'm going to make an aux track here, and we're going to call this one instrument group. So we can have a group for our instruments and a group for our vocals, and all of these ones that are going to output 1 and 2. So like our drum group here, our bass group, anything that's going to output 1 and 2, we're going to send over to that instrument group. Okay, we're basically making like a pyramid here. Now I need to change the color on that guitar. We'll come back and do that. So all these here are going to go to the instrument group I just made, track instrument group. Boom. And that's going to go to my output 1 and 2. And then down here, we're going to recolor this. I'm going to put my vocal group and my instrument group over here together. And we're going to make both of these kind of this like dark color here. Cool. So now I got this. So now basically what's happening is I can balance between my vocals and my instruments all together if I want to. Let's put a little compression on there. Let's put like a bus compression on both of these. Let's use the native instruments just because it's a decent, it's one that I can use right now. It's pretty easy to use. I actually use the glue compressor in Ableton Live usually for this kind of stuff. Solid bus compression. There we go. And let's see if there's a preset in here that makes some sense. So mix glue. There you go. Mix glue. Or mix bus. Whatever. Let's try that one first. And we might want to mess with our threshold there. And let's just do the same thing with this one over here. So we have the vocals and the guitar here kind of just going together. And I probably want to put another little compression on that, but
I smell them roses.
Now I can just kill my vocals. All right, just a little bit of compression going on there. Sounded pretty good. Cool. All right, let's pull this up. Let's go back to chorus.
I smell them roses, dead roses in your hair.
And I don't want to.
You smell roses.
I don't want to push these at all, really.
Like candy in the air.
Cool. Awesome. Sounding pretty good so far, and we're not clipping, we're not pushing things too hard, and we're keeping that sound really natural and nice, just making sure it sounds very transparent and, you know, really letting the music speak for itself, not adding a lot of stuff. I mean, you can even see I'm not really adding any EQs or anything like that in here right now. Probably, like, again, if I was on some real speakers, I could really hear all the different frequencies. I would definitely want to add some stuff in. One thing I noticed is that I can't hear bass at all in here. I was listening to some stuff the other day. I actually got a chance to listen on a decent sound system, and I was like, whoa, all right. Do not try to mix in headphones, definitely, especially with bass and stuff like that, because I was like, oh yeah, I sent a track over to my friend to work on some stuff, and he was just like, yeah, what's wrong with the bass? I was like, oh, headphones. Yeah, sorry. So cool. Now, one thing I want to point out is that we do have a lot of aux tracks going on. Let's go over here. I'm going to go to this little button up here. Lets me show and hide tracks here. So I'm going to show only my aux tracks. We have quite a few aux tracks going on here. What do we got going on here? We got drum groups. We got the acoustic guitar group. We got the piano group. We got the electric guitar group. We got our vocals, reverb. We got our reverb for the instruments. We got our delay for the guitar. We got our instrument group and our vocal group here. So we have quite a few aux channels going on. If we wanted to do one more, what some people like to do is kind of group it all together here at the end, which is kind of what I did in the beginning a little bit. Let's just call this one mix bus, like this. Whoops, not mix bucks. Mix bucks. Mix bus. And send the stuff into this one here is kind of one last final thing. Now, I will tend to skip this step and just do this with the master output here. But this is something you should learn how to do, is I'm just going to send these last, because everything's going in here to these two right here. And I'm just going to take these two and send them into this mix bus. Track, mix bus, boom. And this one here, we can maybe put another compressor on or something like that. Instead of having a compressor on there, what I'll do is I'll do like a tape thing on there. Let's do the Slate virtual tape machines here, and this will kind of bring out some of the low end and kind of just, you know, it's a nice sound. But basically this is where you would put your mastering plugins, would be right on here, not on the actual master. And that way, if you wanted to do like a bounce internally inside of Pro Tools, like let's say you're working in the Audient, or you're working with a combination of stuff in hardware and stuff in software, you can actually pull it all back together in this mix bus and then bounce this into a track internally.
Dead roses in your hair. Can you smell roses like candy in the air?
Cool. So I'm trying to decide what I like better with this stuff here. This one's like a little bit of a darker sound. It's like a little bit of a brighter sound. But this, you know, sounds nice. You could push this harder. Like we could push it too hard. Hear how it's like saturating, oversaturating, making it sound distorted. Cool. And one thing you really want to be aware of is where you're hitting right in here. You don't really want to go much like above like -6 dB. That's really where you want your kind of peaks to be at, is -6 dB in there if you're sending it off to be mastered, making sure you're hitting right up in there. I don't know what I have for reading stuff on here. I don't think I have any real thing. Yeah, I should get something that's like a really good solid group of stuff to, oh, you know what I have? I probably have the isotope stuff, and I plugged in my iLok, so I should be able to use isotope. Where is it? Do I have it? Yeah, I don't see it right now. Yeah, I don't really use it that much. Insight, maybe. Oh, maybe this one here. Is this it? Let's see. Oh, come on. Come on. Dang it. Let me use my plugins. All right. Well, anyway, I'll figure out what's going on with the authorization. Maybe I just need to unplug it and replug it in, whatever. All right, cool. So we can see the cell. So this is a lot easier to look at. I've got my mix done within the individual subgroup, so all I'm really looking at is this stuff. And if I needed to here, I could make my drums louder, softer, whatever. So I can mute this. I can just listen to my instruments. The only thing we're really missing here is the bass. So I would actually pull the bass up so we can see the bass right there. I like where it's sitting. Let's actually get this guitars And let's put a little bit of EQ on these guitars here. Let's put a little SSL EQ. EQ. But what I want to do is I want to bring out this higher, make them a little bit brighter on these. Actually, this is one. I think this one comes with the slate stuff. This air thing. Is this one gonna work? Oh no, not this one. Actually, it might be that one. I don't know. I thought it was a different one though. That might be the one. There's like some slate stuff that's pretty cool. That's like good for bringing up the high frequencies. But I'm not. I usually use my UAD stuff. That's what I usually used to use. But I've been trying to branch out and try some different stuff. Let's try one of these. Let's try the solid state one. This is the SSL. Basically, it comes with native instruments here, and there's like some presets in here. Like, let's see here, acoustic guitar, and so we got like a cut here, and it's pushing the high frequencies. So you can hear it's for me it's maybe a little bit too much, so I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. Because 8 dB is a bit aggressive. But you hear how it pulls those. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. And here I'll turn the EQs off. Oops. So there's no EQ, and it sounds good. And then here's this. So you can hear us pushing that high frequency a little bit more twangy, which is fine because once we add the bass in and all the other instruments, you know, we don't miss that low frequency of the acoustic guitars so much.
Girl, I'm so wired. Oh no, 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 no.
But I said you should go, but then I said please wait, no, 'cause I'm not sure.
Cool.
Of stars.
All right, and I mean, so as you can see, I'm going really light on my plugins. Obviously, if you're working on this for your project, if you're working on this track for your project, you want to go a little bit heavier on the plugins, just because I want you to have a minimum of 10 plugins in here. For a real life situation, I probably wouldn't even need. I mean, there's definitely some other stuff I could do with this, like some stereo wideners and things like that. But I don't have those plugins. I don't have my UAD connected to my computer right now, so I can't even use that stuff right now. Anyway, let's see. The aux tracks here, we talked about this, all this stuff here, cool. Yeah, so this is like, just make sure you read the notes. Make sure you pay attention to the notes in here about how to do this stuff. If you forget, it's all right here in the notes, or you can go back and watch this video again, but it's all right here. It's all the stuff we talked about here. Now, a couple things. The difference between the Pro Tools mix group and a subgroup mixing. The Pro Tools mix group, each channel is still separate, and you're only applying effects to each individual channel. Whereas with subgroup mixing, all the channels become one channel, and any effect is applied to the subgroup channel. It affects all the stuff. But you still have the option of dealing with each individual channel. So what does that mean? It means that basically I can add in effects to my drums individually, but I can also put an effect on the drum bus, which ties everything together, kind of pulls it all together. Keep in mind, this effect that's on the drum bus does not affect these individually. The kick drum, if it compresses the kick drum, it's also compressing that snare drum. They're all connected together. So that's what's happening here with this subgroup mixing, is we're able to kind of put things overall to kind of pull it all together like that. It's important to understand when an effect should be applied to an individual channel versus a group of channels. One is not a replacement for the other. So just because you have you put a compressor on your kick drum doesn't mean it's the same as a compressor on the overall bus channel for the drums. And just because you put a compressor on the overall channel doesn't mean it's going to affect your kick drum the same way. So just be aware of that. Also, another thing you saw me do was you saw me put some effects inside of the groups and some effects were outside of the groups. So for example, this reverb vocal is inside of the reverb group. The reverb instrument stuff, individual ones are sending to it from the group, but then this is going into its own group. Basically, it's like this. Do I want my reverb? So here I've got this shows you basically this compressor, this EQ, and this distortion are affecting these channels individually, and then this compressor and this EQ are affecting the group as a whole. And then over here we've got a reverb example. These are all here are going into the group, and then they're also, see here from the send, these individual instruments are being sent over to the reverb, and the reverb is outside of the group. But you might want to send it over to the reverb and have the reverb be inside of the group. And the difference is, if it's outside of the group, I showed you this earlier, if it's outside of the group, when you turn down the group send, you're still going to hear that reverb. So with these, for example, these, the drums, for example, here, let's do this. Okay. If I turn, wait, was that the right one? No, sorry, I actually changed some stuff here. Let me move this vocal to go to the main output. Okay. So the vocal reverb is going to the main output now. So if I turn down my vocal group, so we're only hearing the reverb now because these two channels are still up, they're still loud, and they're sending here to the reverb, and the reverb is not in the group. It's going out to the main output. I know this is a little bit confusing right now. Eventually you will get it. But if I change this, so what happens is, now we hear everything equally. Now we hear just the reverb, right? Well, if I put this into the vocal group, vocal group, and I turn down my vocal group, watch what happens. Everything gets turned down because now the reverb is sending over to the vocal group. Can I view the notes in Google Slides? Let's talk about that because you're probably viewing the notes wrong, because if it's hard for you to view the notes, you're definitely doing something wrong, Decree. Because the note should be the same size as your screen, right? So let's talk about that when in Zoom. All right. So having said that, actually now is probably a good time to stop and go to Zoom. Because this is pretty much so you've got, if you're in my class, you've got access to the notes, and so you've got these here, so you can go through and look at them and ask me questions about these later on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.